Most people I know have seen the Eddie Murphy classic, Coming to America, and I'm sure you've seen it as well. It's a really funny movie about a royal prince from the African fictional country of Zamunda who finds love in the US. The film was released back in 1988 and it was an incredible success at the box office. It made about $350 million. And today is regarded as one of the greatest comedy films of all time. It's really funny. Now, given how popular the film was and how successful it was, most people expected that the sequel would follow, but a lot of people didn't think they would have to wait for 30 years until Coming to America was released in 2021. But what if I told you Coming to America was not the first time a sequel was attempted? What if I told you there was actually a Coming to America TV show released in 1989, just 1 year after the first film was released? When the Coming to America movie was released in 1988, it was a smashing success. It made $350 million at the box office, and for Paramount Pictures, the studio that made the movie, it was the most successful movie of the year. Now, at the heart of all of this success was Eddie Murphy, who was arguably the biggest Hollywood star in the 1980s, because between 1982 and 1989, movies starring Eddie Murphy made $1.4 billion at the box office. And some of them are actually classics today, like Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. Now, get this. All of these films had actually been distributed by Paramount Pictures, one of the most successful film studios in America. And so it was clear that Eddie Murphy could do no wrong in their eyes. By 1983, Paramount Pictures had a near-exclusive contract with Eddie Murphy, which is why when Eddie Murphy pitched to create a TV series based on the Coming to America movie, the studio was all ears. And why not? When the biggest movie star in the world proposes a way to make more money from a film that had already made over $250 million, well, most studio executives would listen. And when that comedy star is a guy who made films that have already grossed over $1 billion in that decade, then you pay even extra attention. And that's what happened. Paramount Pictures gave Eddie Murphy the green light to make a pilot for the Coming to America TV show. But because this was going to be a TV series rather than another movie, the deal was with CBS, the TV network that's owned by Paramount Pictures parent company. Now, the initial proposal was for Eddie Murphy to make the pilot episode, after which CBS would potentially order a full 13-episode season for what they hoped to be a smash hit, just like the Coming to America movie. And so Eddie Murphy's TV production company got to work creating this series, the Coming to America TV show. Now, if you're going to make a TV show based on a globally popular hit movie, then chances are that you want to retain as many familiar elements and storylines from the movie so the audience feels really engaged and interested right from the start. And that's what they did with the pilot episode of the Coming to America TV show. So in the Coming to America movie, we had Prince Hakeem going off to the US to sow his royal oats and find love. But in the series, we had Prince Tariq, the younger brother of Prince Hakeem, sent to attend college in the US by Prince Hakeem, who had already become the king of Zamunda, apparently taken over from everybody's favorite king, King Jaffe Joffer.
I'm King Jaffe Joffer, ruler of Zamunda.
In the movie, Prince Hakeem also makes the trip with an assistant called Semi, and in the TV show, Prince Tariq also makes the trip with an assistant of his own as well. And just like in the movie where Prince Hakeem lands in New York and goes broke really quickly and then has to work for money, Prince Tariq also goes broke days after landing in New York and has to find a job by working at a diner to make money. A big question was whether or not Eddie Murphy or any of the stars from Coming to America would appear in the TV series. And ultimately, one guy made the cuts, and that was Paul Bates, the character known as Oha, who was the royal butler in Zamunda. And if you don't remember him, that's this guy.
She's your queen to be.
Once they had someone from the original film to bring that element of familiarity, they obviously also needed a comedian to play the new role of Prince Tariq, to be the star of the new series. So think about it, Eddie Murphy is making a TV show based on his best movie of all time and most successful movie of all time. It was literally a dream role for any black actor in Hollywood, and there was tons of interest. Marlon Wayans and Wesley Snipes both auditioned for the role, and they were among the favorites to land the role. And according to some reports, there was also interest from Will Smith, who of course would go on to be the star of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air just 1 year later. But ultimately, the role of Prince Tariq fell to a guy called Tommy Davidson, who was a young emerging stand-up comedian and actor at the time. Once casting was done, the crew got together and made the pilot, and when that pilot was done, all that was left was to put it on air, give everybody another taste of the Coming to America magic. And that happened eventually in the evening of the 4th of July in 1989. Now, a quick pause here to explain one important thing. The 4th of July is the day of America's independence, and there's usually a lot going on that day with folks celebrating, eating out, and generally just having a good time. So if you put a show on TV in the evening of the 4th of July, then there's a good chance people won't watch because they're out having fun. And that's pretty much what happened to the pilot episode for the Coming to America TV show. As one report put it, airing the pilot episode on the 4th of July essentially guaranteed the TV series would be dead on arrival. And as expected, the show got poor ratings, folks didn't watch it, and CBS's offer of a 13-episode season was off the table. Ultimately, the TV show never took off. But now, many years later, after this attempt to make the TV show, there has been more digging around to understand why exactly it failed. The TV show was supposed to ride on the coattails of the hit movie. They had similar storylines and ideas, and also had the Eddie Murphy stamp of approval, but it failed. So it turns out there were quite a number of production issues, starting with the script of the show. When Eddie Murphy's company set out to make the sequel, they wanted the same writers who wrote the movie script to write the TV show as well, but that didn't happen. So they settled on a different writer. But according to Tommy Davidson, who was the star of the TV show as Prince Tariq, this new writer was really rigid in his ideas of what the show was going to be, and there was little room for creativity, so it resulted in a lot of cliche lines and delivery. But another surprising thing that emerged is that Eddie Murphy himself was actually not really involved in making the show. Even though it was seemingly his idea and based on his success with the movie, Eddie Murphy apparently left it to executives of his TV production company to put the show together and get it done. Now, between the issues in production and Eddie Murphy's lack of involvement, the Coming to America TV show was dead before it even found life. But that failure didn't spell the end for the Coming to America franchise, because in 2021, 33 years after the first movie was made, Amazon Studios spent $60 million to make the sequel of the original film, and we all got to go back to Zamunda one more time. But if things had turned out differently in 1989, then we could have had not just the classic movie, but also the classic TV show as well. And that is the story of the Coming to America TV show that you never heard of. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see the pilot episode for the Coming to America TV show, there's a link in the description. Enjoy. See you in the next one.